Welcome to 5 Minutes of Revelation, and today, as you can see, I'm not where I'm usually at. Today I'm in Tenerife. I'm here on holiday, but it still won't stop me from sharing 5 minutes of revelation with you. And today, in those 5 minutes, I want to talk about true humility. Because we often think that humility is something bad that God sends our way, or it's something terrible that God allows to happen in our lives so He can change us for our good. But it's not really like that. Because I used to think that humility just means to sit back and wait around, see, maybe not even expecting for God to do anything. If He wants to, He will, and if He doesn't want to, well, then He's just not going to do anything. Or other people think that it's God putting something bad on us. But that's not truly what humility means. Because if we look at Deuteronomy, for example, the story of Israel going out of Egypt and into their promised land, there's a lot of insight there that tells us what true humility is and how we are supposed to truly be humble, to step into all the good things that God has for us. In Deuteronomy 8, verse 15 to 16, it says, "God who led you through the great and terrifying wilderness, with its fiery serpents and scorpions and thirsty ground, and where there was no water, who brought you water out of the flinty rock, who fed you in the wilderness with manna that your fathers did not know, that He might humble you and test you, to do you good in the end." So here it tells you what true humility means, and what it means if God humbles you. He says, who fed you in the wilderness, and who gave you water out of the rock, who helped you that your clothes did not wear off and that you didn't get tired. All these things, that's what it means when God humbles you. Because many think this and say, well, see, God humbled them by sending them into the desert. But that's not true. God didn't humble them by sending them into the desert. That going into the desert was their own choice. Because they were too scared to enter into the promised land, because they said to themselves, well, they're all giants and we're like grasshoppers in their eyes. They didn't see how great their God was. They were scared. And because of that, they went into the desert. So the fact that they were in the desert those 40 years, that was their own choice. But in that bad situation that they got themselves into, God says, now I'm going to humble you by giving you water anyway, by supplying for you, by giving you all the things that you require, by not letting your clothes wear off and keeping you strong. That is God humbling them, and that is how God humbles people today. It's not God sending you into the desert, sending you into a bad place, or putting sickness on you. That's not God humbling you. God humbling you means when you chose to go the wrong way, and when you chose to enter into a bad and terrible place, He is still going to do you good. His grace is still going to be there to get you through, to get you out, and get you all blessings anyway. That's how God humbles you. That's how God gets you to the place where you can say, it's not my works that did this, it's His works that do good to me, even though I messed up. And if you look at the context, and if you look at the Greek and the Hebrew, how the Bible talks about humility, humility simply means to expect nothing from myself, but everything from God. And that's exactly what it is. Humility is getting to the place, when God humbles me, He gets me to the place where I expect nothing from myself, but I expect everything from God. And as soon as I get to the place where I expect everything from God, He can bless me, and He can bestow all His blessings and all the good things that He wants in my life. He can give me all these things once I get to the place where I expect everything from Him and nothing from myself. And that's exactly what you see with Israel. Because they went into the desert by themselves. It was their own choice. But in that desert, God was able to show them that, look, there's no water around, there's no food around, you should really die out here, and your clothes should wear out, and you should just rot away. And in that place, Israel realized there's nothing that we can do to save us. And at that point, one of them at least realized that, see, there is a God, and God is great, and we can expect God to do great things. And because that one person, because Moses realized that we should expect everything from God and nothing from ourselves, God blessed them anyway, and God bestowed His blessing upon them anyway. And that is exactly how God humbles you. Even though you messed up, and even though you were too scared to step into all the blessings and to step into the good things that God has for you, God comes and says, look, don't expect anything from yourself. Don't expect to get out of this bad situation that you're in, out of this sickness, out of this financial, deficit, out of all these problems, relationship problems of any kind. He says, don't expect to get out of them by yourself. Expect everything from me. Be truly humble. That's what true humility means. Be truly humble. Expect everything from me. And in that very moment, at that time where you expect everything from him, he can come through, he can break through for you, and he can restore your blessings back to you again. See, verse 12 and 13 says that when you have eaten and are full and have built good houses, this is God's will for you, to eat and be full and build good houses and live in them. And when your herds and flocks multiply, so everything you do multiplies, and your silver and gold is multiplied, and all that you have multiplies. That is God's will for you. He wants you to multiply in everything. And in verse 16 we read before, that he might humble you and test you to do you good in the end. And that to do you good in the end, that's all the good things that he wants to do for you. He wants that you multiply in all things. He wants to get you to the point where you can do that. But he can only get you to that point where everything multiplies, where you build your houses, where your silver and gold multiplies, where blessing is on everything you do. He can only get you to that point when you realize that it's not your own ability that is going to get you there, but his grace and everything and God's own power. You need to be truly humble. You need to let him humble you and come to the point that you realize it's not my works, it's not the things I do that are going to get me there, but it's God's ability, and it's all God. Expect nothing from yourself, but everything from God. And that is what I want to give you on your way today. Take that with you. Expect everything from God and nothing from yourself. That's what it means to truly be humble. And when you do that, you won't have to run around in your desert for 40 years. It won't take you that long. The very moment that you realize, wait a minute, this is not me. I can't get out of this in my own ability, but I know God can. Once you come to that point, God is going to come through for you, and he's going to turn your situation around and turn it into the blessing that he's wanted you to step into right from the beginning. So don't be scared. Expect everything from God. Look to him, and you'll truly be blessed. Take that with you, and from Tenerife, I'll see you again next time.